What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Next Guy Up podcast on this lovely Thursday. We've got a big weekend of football coming up, but before we dive into all of the college football and NFL going on, we're going to bring a little messing around Monday here today. We're kind of brainstorming right before we started. Mason's got some food for thoughts for us. We're going to do a group review of Outer Banks Part 1. Just came out like last week, I think, or maybe the week before, but we've all watched it. We'll share our thoughts and opinions about Outer Banks Part 1 because they split it up for some reason. And so, yeah. And whatever else happens, because it's going to be kind of a little messing around Monday here for a second. So there's no telling what could happen. Boys, how we doing?
Doing great. I feel like Netflix does this now where they do like part 1 and 2 to all their shows to keep you like from binge watching and then canceling the subscription. I know I feel like the first thing I could ever remember extending everything out was Mandalorian would drop the whole season, and then they started doing one episode a week to try to keep everybody around. So that's like the trending thing now is just, let's just break it up instead of having everybody binge watch. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised are we that I have actually I'm caught up on a TV series with you guys? Like pretty
not surprised.
0 to 10.
Not surprised. Outer Banks is right up your alley.
Yeah. Are you sure that your wife wanted to watch Outer Banks with you?
That too.
Which is why you watched it. And which is why I've watched it as well.
There you go. Unrealistic adventure, what would you call it? On the edge of your seat, always action.
I'm not on the edge of my seat. There's a lot of dialogue.
A lot of really
bad dialogue.
By the way, on the conversation of releasing all at once or in episodes, releasing in episodes, otherwise known as how television has been since the beginning of television.
Yeah, throwing it back.
Think about all of the most popular shows of all time were released once every week, and it made the conversation longer. Think about like Breaking Bad, Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, Sopranos, whatever it is. It wasn't until Netflix when they started dropping stuff all at once and people started binging stuff. Like Stranger Things, I feel like was one of the first to do that mess. And people were like, I feel like Netflix is like, why are we doing this? We're just losing money. It's stupid. Which it is. I'm very anti-binge drop the whole season at once. I would much rather. But I'm also a fan of the discourse and having an episode drop and then having a couple podcasts that talk about it. And you can talk to your friends at work or whatever and be like, hey, did you watch a new episode? Yeah, it was cool. I have some friends at work who are locked into The Penguin. I don't have Max, so I've not been watching it, but they really enjoy that show and they've talked about it. And I think that's a cool thing. It doesn't happen if you just watch 10 episodes at once and you're like, wow, you might talk about the ending of it, but you're not going to go. It's limiting the conversation. That's my take.
I guess you're kind of drawing it out a little bit, bringing more suspense. I guess it sounded bad when I said the last streaming service. I was talking about like streaming service itself that everybody always would drop things like the whole season of something all at once.
It became a trend to do that for sure. Yeah, I'm glad that we're moving in the other direction. Netflix was the last one to kind of be like, oh, maybe we should change this model. Because Prime started doing it like weekly releases. So did obviously Disney started doing that, especially like the Marvel type shows. They would release weekly versus all at once. Marvel, Star Wars stuff, like you said.
You were talking about weekly. I feel like when I was in high school or middle school, it was always like, it was more like, and we've talked about this and you've all given me a bad rap, but it was like the shows like on ABC, CBS, like Survivor, Deal or No Deal, things like that were more weekly instead of like an actual, like you were talking about Walking Dead or something wasn't until later. I can't think of a series, like a legitimate series. It was always
Lost.
Like, I never watched that.
Lost was a weekly one.
Lost was a weekly one.
That was a big one. Walking Dead was big for us. Like it became like an event every Sunday to watch.
They did a show after the show that we would stay and watch.
It's true.
Which is now there's podcasts and things and YouTube. You can watch YouTube videos breaking down all the little stuff that happened, especially in like Marvel and things like that.
Little Easter eggs.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll drop just one a week or not, but the next thing I could think of that I could do this with is when they do the Harry Potter series.
Rings of
That would
Power
be
has
like a
been
big
one
enough.
week at a time. I've not been locked into the new season, but it is one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a better model, personally. But I'm not much of a binger these days. I just don't have like 10 hours to sit down and watch TV. So that's
have a
maybe
kid.
part of it as well.
Yeah.
I can find. But there's some shows I watch and I look forward to when they drop. I'm like, oh, I'm excited for Thursday because I get to watch this new show, the new episode out on
I
the
know
treadmill or
everybody's
whatever. Yeah.
shocked to hear this, but I've never been a binger. It's
Mm.
too much. It's too much. Like I need breaks. Like it wears me out.
Mason
Where's my nap
famously
at?
against long movies.
Even though his favorite movie of all time
Anything
is
over an hour
very
and a
long.
half is can't do it.
Well, the first
There
time I
is-
ever watched Endgame, it wore me out. But now that I know that's going on, I could like not pay attention and then be like, "Oh, I didn't miss anything" because I've seen it 18 times, 1,800
Does
times.
that make it a great movie because you can
Better.
not pay attention to it?
Okay, you guys are lying to me when you say you like to just turn something on the background that you've seen a million times and you can do other things. You're on your phone. I've been around Zach and he's just like he has something on and he's halfway paying attention where he's like on his phone while paying attention. The only time I ever see him
That's not me.
solely focused is during a football game. We're
I'm
always
locked in.
doing something. That's millennials. We're
I'm locked in.
nobody. You're locked in. Never
I
Locked
do-
in all kinds of stuff.
I've got to be. I've got to be careful when I'm watching. So I like to watch things on the treadmill. It's kind of an incentive because it gives me some time to watch stuff, catch up on some things that I've missed, and I've got to be careful because it's got to be action. We've talked about that. It's got to be action packed. I have been watching the Starting Five documentary on Netflix, which Netflix is kind of running this idea into the ground. They've done it with pretty much every single sport imaginable.
Yep.
But it's pretty interesting. Have you guys seen that? All of it or any of it?
I've seen clips. It is on my radar to watch it soon. But yeah, I definitely want to watch it. I was on vacation last week, and all my free time of watching stuff was sucked up by Outer Banks. So
Yeah, you gotta give me at least 2 weeks now before I start another show. I gotta
good.
put a little break in there.
I've enjoyed watching it. I mean, honestly, the LeBron stuff is the least interesting of the people.
So
there's just Sabonis is pretty similar to like how Kirk Cousins was portrayed in the quarterback show, just like a family man, just like super.
Yeah.
But then you also have Anthony Edwards, which is pretty interesting to see.
I want to see him
because
like
he's pretty much just like plays video games all day, and he doesn't. He like plays video games and plays basketball, and that's pretty much all he does. He's like 22 or 23 or whatever, and just pretty much just hangs out.
chilling.
Yeah.
So is it going into the season? Like, are they still continuing?
It's covering last season.
Last season.
It started at the beginning of last season, and then it's going through the season.
I wonder if they're going to keep, or we're obviously going to see things between Bronny and LeBron. For everybody that missed it last night, they were on the court at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, it's Jimmy Butler, Sabonis, Anthony Edwards, LeBron, and Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum's got to be boring.
It is interesting to see Tatum versus they do that. They juxtapose Tatum and Anthony Edwards because they're so different. They're kind of both in that young star role on their teams, but they're so different personality wise. That is pretty interesting. I'm not locked in with the NBA on a daily basis though. Like I'm not super in the NBA like conversation, so it's pretty fun to get to just see some of their lives.
I want to be more into NBA, but the season's so long, and it's like it just started this week, and then football is still hot and heavy, and then it takes all I have to juggle football and college basketball. Which college basketball?
It's going soon.
I love
college
basketball. We'll have some college basketball stuff.
Definitely
coming up. If you're not in the Discord, make sure you join if you want some college basketball bets. I bet. I will start betting less football and more on college basketball. It is my best sport.
One of the weirdest things to bet on.
It is, but it's my best sport by a lot.
It's interesting.
every year when I get to print off my thing and it'll show how much I bet on all the sports, the greenest of the number is college basketball by a lot.
Wow.
So you're saying tell you in the
I'm
Discord.
not saying, I'm just saying.
He's going to be locked
But
in.
it's crazy. There's so much information out there. I can't keep up. Like, the only way I can bet it is by looking at trends, and that's still not even like the bet. Like, if you were asked me like who's like the coach of like Memphis right now or something, I'd be like, or name me a player. I'm like, there's so many. Like, I don't know.
Doesn't
like
matter.
It's so interchanging, almost like college football is. Sometimes I can't keep
Definitely.
up. It used to be different where
I feel like
players
the
stayed
thing
a lot
with
longer.
with NBA and NFL versus college sports is the margins are so much smaller in the NBA because everyone's like a known commodity. Like, you know who those guys are. They've been around a long time. You have got the stats and data to back it up. They're mature players at this point. They're probably maxing out at their potential of what they can do physically. And so the margins are tiny. I mean, know this. But with college, there's so much stuff that can happen. And if you even got a hint that like there's weird stuff in the locker room, or it can pay huge dividends on the field or the court in college because it's such a big thing. You're talking about 19-year-olds, you know.
Yep. There are only at max 16 NFL games going on in a week. Or NBA, there's 30 teams in the league. Now their schedule is a little bit more crazy, but for the most part, there can only be 15 games on any given night. The margins are smaller because they have all the information they need.
Mm-hmm.
College, there's 388 teams in FBS. Vegas don't know everything that's going on. They just don't. True. So the margins are significantly just like you can find more money in college sports.
There's more chaos, but there's more opportunity to like beat the book, I feel like.
Yeah. That's why, like, if you're in the Discord, you don't see me giving out NFL picks because it's just too hard. I bet it, but I suck.
It's like a coin flip, I feel like.
Yes, yeah, you have to be perfectly right, or else you're going to lose.
My thing with betting NFL is trying to get player props, and it just don't work putting it on the podcast because it changes so quickly. But I look now, if not even a day or two ago, and it could be like 5 or 7 or 3 yards different by Sunday, just because of how much money people bet either way. So you kind of have to get to it's like a first come first serve on some of the lines.
Yeah.
Okay, so we should start something with the college basketball betting, maybe.
Yeah, keep up with the actual. I'll add a channel to the Discord for it.
Let's get it
for sure. All right,
it's gonna be a fun season.
It's definitely gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be very.
Here's my hot take. Cooper
I
Flag.
Hear it. The main event.
I just think sometimes these guys get so overhyped. It's just like they're never going to live up to the amount of hype they're getting.
What was he? Didn't
I honestly
he play
don't know a lot about Cooper Flag.
NBA
to be honest, I don't have any evidence behind this. Sometimes if everyone is hyping up something that much, it's like they're never going to live up to the expectation that's been placed before them. It's like impossible almost.
This kid's been getting hyped up since he was like 14 years old.
It's like the Caleb Williams thing. It's like there's just no way he was going to live up to what everyone thought he could be in year one of the NFL.
True, I guess.
Maybe he still is. I don't know.
He's kind of playing well despite everything I've ever said about him. I need to stop giving takes about rookie quarterbacks. I didn't think Jaden Daniels would do well, and I thought Caleb Williams would suck. So I was right about Bo Nick so far. He does. He's terrible.
Yeah, he stinks a little bit.
He's like Tim Tebow Jr. Like, he just runs the ball 47 times for 47 yards.
Sure does. Got the win though.
Dub.
Sure,
it's true. He's the winner.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I guess. All right.
Hey, Mason, did you have a take on the Outer Banks?
Yeah.
Yes. We're doing a group review here. So are spoilers or no spoilers?
No spoilers. People need to watch it themselves.
People want to.
Yeah.
So let me just at the very end of the last season, they found the treasure, and it was just like, oh, they're going to be professional treasure hunters now. And I was like, where's this going to go? I'm kind of like checked out. But they brought me back in a little bit, because now it's just back to where they lose everything. So it's like they need to find this new treasure that's like cursed. So I'm giving it action. It's been like a 3-4. It's been kind of blah, but I think it should pick up. They threw a little curveballs in there. Let's see. JJ's character makes me so mad. He's the one that makes the decisions for all of them. And it's just like he's getting them in trouble every single time. But it's been all right. It's been okay. I'm invested. I bench watched it. We were shocked I got that far probably, but here we are. I'm invested. What do you all think?
I mean, it's fine. It is what it is. Like, it's meant to be like, it's the same storyline, just in a different way every season. I mean, treasure hunting's pretty good. It's hard to kind of mess it up. Like, National Treasure, it feels kind of along. You're hunting for treasure. It's kind of fun. But some of the stuff, like the way that they were like, I could see myself in the storyboard meeting where they were like, they just found a city full of gold and they're rich. The story is not fun if these people are rich. Yeah. How do we get them to be unrich really quickly? And then they just do like, they waste a bunch of money and they're broke again and they need money. And that was the part I was just like, I mean, I'm not surprised here, but this was like the laziest way to do this. I feel like just like these people have to be broke or the story is uninteresting to everyone.
Well, what series is it going to be if they're just like rich and happy and they're just like living their life?
To make them broke somehow.
So there you go.
So they had property taxes.
Yeah,
broke.
Them daggum property taxes. $20,000 in property taxes. I don't know. I own property, and my property taxes are not $20,000.
Yeah, $20,000 is egregious. But also, if that I don't even know his name. If that guy, if you haven't seen it in the first episode, they're trying to like buy his family land back, and if that guy is sitting there doing that, I'm tackling. Like he's out. He's done. I'm physically removing him from the situation.
That's what I said. Why is nobody like picking him up and carrying him out of
and dragging him away? I'm saying he does not speak for us. This guy is a lunatic.
If anybody's seen it, it was his family's property that he was trying to bid on with the money that they just got, and he was.
If I was there with Mason and Tins, and Mason was trying to bid that much money, I would tackle him. Just for that.
And I would let you do it. I would respect you for it.
I would turn on Endgame on my phone and he would be
lure him away.
Mason.
I'm not saying Mason would do that, but what a ridiculous situation.
Yeah, no, that's my issue with the show. Is it's this, like the theme of treasure hunting. That's fun.
Yeah.
It's the extracurricular dumb stuff that makes me like. These are not real world things that would like. No one's going to do a lot of these things. The dirt bike race. That's the dumbest thing in America I've ever seen in my life.
Betting like $1 jillion that you're going to win, even though your bike sucks.
Right.
That's the worst part.
$750K to buy property. Like, that's not how that works.
JJ's like the biggest moron in history.
Right. Yeah.
And if his friends would just like not be friends with him anymore.
Yeah. His character makes me mad. And then Topper, that whole rich people thing.
Yeah.
Like, we're still doing this, like the Cougs and the Pogues. That's what it's right. Coug.
Yeah.
Pogues and the Kooks.
Kooks. What do we do? Like, that one girl gets in the car. I know we said no spoilers. I don't care. She's like trying to run them over with their Jeep, just to teach them a lesson, and then she runs over one turtle.
Hilarious.
She only somehow runs over one turtle. That's not realistic.
I'm going to commit murder.
And then they're going to press charges because JJ says he's going to kill them. Like, all right, I don't know.
It's a ridiculous show.
It is. Go back and watch last season though.
Mason,
you could go back and see, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Yes, go ahead.
I feel like we need to wrap this Outer Banks conversation up.
Yeah.
What's your rating, Mason? What's your final
6.8.
thoughts? 6.8.
Yeah, that's not bad. 6.8.
I mean, it's fine. I didn't hate watching it. Like I said, it's
Nobody's
not the
gonna give a
most
rating,
enjoyable
just me.
television. Nah, just you.
Yeah,
Okay,
just
Maybe like
thank you.
5.6.
You just said just you, and then you gave your rating.
I would change my mind.
4.2.
Okay, Tins did not like it. Okay,
What did Mason give it?
6.8.
All right,
I
we'll
wish
move
we kept
on.
track of everything Mason ever rated, so we could say all the stuff that Mason just rated Outer Banks above. Because it'd be a lot of good stuff.
Maybe I should have gave it a little lower than that, because this. But it was just
Mason's
like I was trying.
a tough grader on Famously.
Mason gave Dune 2 an 8.7.
That's
pretty
the highest
good.
rated thing ever.
Hey, this is checking out though. I did not throw in like an 8 on this. This does not deserve that. Dune, have you seen it yet? Dune 2?
I actually have not seen Dune 2.
Wow.
I need to watch it. I don't have any way to watch it.
It's all right.
I didn't see it in theaters. I always heard it's very good. I'll watch it someday.
Yeah, it's worth watching. So you can get it
Before the
should
third
you watch that.
So I don't know if nobody else has food for thoughts. I don't know how like well mine is to like stack up with you guys if nobody is given one.
So you have no thoughts on food because we don't have any?
I do. Well,
I want to know your thoughts on food, Mason.
E. coli outbreak for the McDonald's quarter pounder. That's a food for thought right there.
I've heard some conspiracy theories already.
Okay, let's hear it.
Donald Trump was there yesterday working. There's a lot of conspiracy theories around now. We're not a political podcast here, but I've heard some rumors swirling, you know?
So apparently they're taking them off the menu. It's just like quarter pounders exclusively. So
just quarter pounders?
Yeah, it's. Do they use different meat for that than they do any of the other?
They only raise certain cows that can grow up to be the quarter pounders.
This is the quarter pounder cow.
That's a McDouble cow all day. Send them that way.
I want to be a McDouble cow.
I
am economy cow. It's the average cow.
That's a TikTok if I've ever seen one. How about a Big Mac?
No, they think
Big Mac is the most overrated thing in America.
Yeah. What? They're like the kooks of cows.
Well, at least they don't have E. coli. So.
Let me ask you, what's that third bun for? I hate that.
Some people are asking.
I got the McChicken. I got the chicken Big Mac the other day. I can't even talk.
Chicken Big Mac.
It sucked. It was terrible.
Ooh,
the chicken was just the chicken nugget breading, which is gross. So yeah, official take, trash. And get rid of the third bun because it just makes everything, it's soggy and unnecessary and messy.
Maybe you were tasting the E. coli. Could have been
double. It wasn't a quarter pounder. It was a chicken Big Mac.
Chicken Big Mac. Okay, second thing. These popcorn buckets get pretty creative. Some of them controversial in the past. We know.
Why are they controversial?
Yeah, Mason,
you can just look up. You can just look up pictures. Dune 2 that had a popcorn bucket. The what was the other one?
Deadpool had one.
So this one
what was that
is.
One
could you guess? Could you guess what the popcorn bucket for the what I'm about to talk
Gladiator.
about?
You're talking
Gladiator
about
2.
It's a stadium.
It looks like the Coliseum. It's probably like the. But everybody's freaking out about this one. These have turned into like everybody rushing to go get them and then flipping them on eBay.
Really?
They were doing that with some of the collector's item. Taylor Swift, some of her like posters and popcorn buckets and stuff was doing the same thing. So, but yeah, that's the new. Just wanted to throw that out there.
I'm excited
Gladiator
for the movie.
2. Do we have any thoughts about that? Huh?
I'm excited for the movie.
Very excited.
It's gonna be a banger.
Did any of us put that on our most excited things to look forward to for 2024?
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember. Any of the same cast? Or is it a completely different story? I wouldn't think so, right?
It's his son, I think.
Okay.
It's Russell Crowe's son.
Well,
right?
It's the sister's the emperor's sister. His son. Remember how Maximus it's part of the preview. Like he gave him something. I think he gave him like a ring or something after performance, and so he saw Maximus in the Gladiator Coliseum. Was like, I want to be like that when I grow up. But he's kind of royalty.
Well, Russell Crowe now and Russell Crowe then.
Russell Crowe's not
couldn't
in it
even be
because
the
Russell
same
Crowe
character.
died.
Newsflash.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, everyone.
To anybody that's not seen. I know.
could have
I
a flashback,
was just
I
talking
guess,
about
or
how
something.
different they look now.
They do look
Okay.
different.
Well, that's the thing about, I don't know, 20 years passing.
It's true.
I feel like I respect what Russell Crowe did, where he just started taking roles where he could like gain weight and be like, I'm gaining weight for this role, but he really just wanted to eat and like not get in shape. Respect.
I'm not. This is not a plug for this podcast, but Russell Crowe was on Joe Rogan's podcast recently, and it is a very interesting listen. Russell Crowe is a character.
He was in a movie called Land of Bad, which was good.
Yeah. He talks about how he bought like a huge farm in Australia. He's raising his own cattle, and he's like, I kind of enjoy just kind of getting fat. It's been nice. He said, I spent decades like putting my body through the absolute ringer for roles. Like he went from Gladiator, then he did like a boxing movie where he was like very skinny. He wasn't like a big boxer. He's like a skinny boxer. And then had to get right back to jacked for Noah. Like he's done it all.
Being Hollywood in shape like sucks. Because if you're just like wanting to get in shape as like a real person, you can just like bulk and you can kind of just get, if you're trying to build. But if you're Hollywood fit, you have to be like super strong, but also like skinny and lean.
Cut. Yeah.
And it's like just like the worst. There's a lot of actors who talk openly just about how terrible it is. It's just like, this is not worth it. Zac Efron was the one. He was like, I will never. He did what's that beach movie? Baywatch. And was like famously like, I will never be in that shape ever again because it was terrible. Which also respect. Can't blame him.
Respect.
I will never be in that shape either.
I don't even know where we were at this point.
Mason is always in that shape.
No.
He's born.
Just in case everybody's wondering. If you don't watch the YouTube or look at the TikTok clips, Mason
never works out and is jacked. 6-pack.
Not even close.
True.
20-minute 5K.
Land of the Bad I have seen though. It has both Hemsworth brothers.
Both?
It's got let's see, Luke and Liam and Luke.
Oh.
So it's not it doesn't have
not the main Hemsworth.
Chris. Yes, not the main.
Yeah, it's got Hunger Games Hemsworth.
No one wants that guy. Not even Jennifer Lawrence. She picked the other guy.
True. Okay.
All right.
Are we ready?
Where are we even at this point? Is this college football time?
We're getting into some sports, everybody.
Let's do it.
I have...
can't wait for this.
We're doing some things today. We're doing some bulletin board material. Tennessee's been in the news this week. If you haven't been locked in, nationally, Tennessee's kind of jumped into the news after they beat Alabama again. Second time in a row in Neyland. There were a couple things that I felt like were pertinent enough nationally to address on this very podcast. Number one, an Alabama announcer. This happened like right after we recorded our Monday episode. An Alabama announcer came out and made the statement that Neyland pipes in crowd noise. He said it live on the broadcast. He said, it's very loud in here, 100,000 people. Plus, they're piping in crowd noise as well. And he just said it blatantly there. It is, you could ask anyone involved with the program, and no one would ever say that. And literally, like, I've seen dozens of people refuting this that aren't even involved with the program, that are just national, like, talkers or announcers. They're like, they do not do this. That's pretty insane. And everyone has just been like, this is crazy. He even doubles down this like today, I think. And he was like, I didn't mean piped in crowd noise. I mean enhanced the crowd noise. They're miking up the student section in the crowds and then pumping it back, like amplifying it, which is also insane. People were pulling like pictures of speakers in Neyland, and the speakers are like facing back. They're like for the bands. People can hear the band across stadium when it's so loud that you can't hear the band. That's what this. So anyway, this guy is just grade A loser material from Alabama. Greg McElroy agrees with him. No, not McElroy. I'm sorry. Apologies to Greg McElroy. This was AJ McCarron. Shout out to this guy who's whatever. I'm not even going to insult his career after college because it's not worth it. But he decides to get back and agree. They definitely pipe sounded. So here's my take on the end of it, because everyone, I don't have to refute the idea that we pipe the sound in. I think everyone knows it's not true. Here's my take. The Alabama announcer who is at every single game, announcing every game, thinks that the only way that Neyland Stadium can produce as much sound as it's producing, or for a stadium to be as loud as it was, is for Tennessee to be cheating and piping in fake noise. What does that tell us about the Alabama Stadium? He's at every single home game, every single one. If he's like, the only way for this to be like this is for it to be fake. Clearly, he without even knowing it, this is a glaring indictment on Brian Denny. He's like, this Brian Denny has clearly never been as loud as it was that night, for one. And he was so in shock by it, his only excuse was, this can't be real. And so shout out to AJ McCarron and this announcer, who I'm not even going to give him a name because I'm not even sure what it is.
Deserve a name.
Chris, I think it's Chris Stewart. Shout him out. Here's his address. Go find him. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. I don't have his address anyways. But what a terrible take by this guy. They were about to lose the game, and he was bummed. And so he started taking shots at Neyland Stadium. This is infinite bulletin board material for anyone attending a game at Neyland Stadium, like forever. So there's number one, bulletin board material.
Oh no.
We just lost that
we listen to on TV talk about games are literally just the worst. And Joe Cloud is one of them. These are people who are just, we try to be honest podcasters here. We try not to just do rage bait type stuff. We like to give hard hitting analysis
Fair
and
analysis
that are thoughtful. And this guy, Joel Klatt, just decided he was going to tee off on to Tennessee football fans and program who just beat Alabama. A team where preseason, mind you, every single person who talked about college football was talking about how this team was going to be incredible. This team was going to surpass expectations. What happens? They lose a couple games. People start freaking out. And Joel Klatt starts taking shots at Tennessee, who just beat Alabama. And the conversation around the country, I'm not even joking, has been Tennessee's win was not as good as Alabama's loss in Neyland. Like that's the conversation that like Alabama lost in a really tough environment, only by 7. It was close, which is a better net gain than Tennessee actually winning the football game in a pretty ugly fashion at times. And Joel Klatt said he made fun of the cigar smoking as if it was like a weird tradition, or as if they haven't been doing this for like 80 years and is not going back to like Bear Bryant. And I just don't, what a wild take by this guy who just clearly wanted to get Tennessee fans mad. Shout out to also, while I'm at it, this is my last thing. A quick shout out over in the offseason, we kind of took some shots at College Football 25 in their stadium rankings. I'd like to give a quick shout out to all the stadiums that were ranked above Neyland at 13, like Camp Randall, Wisconsin. What a tough environment that place is. Texas A&M, all of those environments that we've seen falter this season. Shout out to Neyland, standing up in the gap, willing your people to victory. Bulletin board material forever to any fan that's in attendance. That's my bulletin board material.
It's pretty good.
Moving.
Thanks, everybody. Shout out to the Vols.
What
In
a
the playoff
terrible
race.
win.
Terrible.
Last time I checked,
I wish we would have
wins
just
your
lost.
wins, baby. Yeah, it would have been better for their standings in the
Look, you know, people are going to see at the end of the
day.
day, they're going to see win against Alabama, and it's going to look great on their resume. Doesn't
You know what
even
they're
matter.
not going to see? An L next to Vandy.
Loss. Well, what's up, not? But yes.
Nope.
We still have to play
now.
them.
You're correct.
As of right now, one of us has lost to Vandy.
Maybe the worst loss like in college football this season. Well, they're tied with Notre Dame against NIU. 2 worst losses.
Oh my! Don't even get me started about NIU beating.
We already did a lot of playoff talk, and so I don't think we have to. We have to go back there again right now, but there's a lot there. Things are shaping up. We're gonna get to some previews here in a second, and we'll talk about some games that are huge this weekend. But
yeah,
there's my bulletin board material for the day.
All
you
right.
guys have anything?
No.
Tens, Jags.
Trevor Lawrence has the
Big
best. Yeah, I don't care about that. Trevor Lawrence has the best QBR rating this season on long passes of over 20 yards. Ranked second is Joe Burrow. It's really cool. One of those players is throwing to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and one of those guys is throwing to Gabe Davis and future star Brian Thomas Jr.
Both on bad teams potentially.
Yep. That's true. There is nothing like when Trevor loads up and I know Brian Thomas is running down the field, though. I'm like, oh, I'm about to get one. So at least I have
the Titans who are just bankrupting the team intentionally at this point.
We're going to talk about.
We're going to get into that. Yeah, that was my bulletin board, but I just want to save it for the end at this point.
Okay, gotcha.
I saw into the future, and every single weekend, Tinsley will have a bet slip of Brian Thomas over on his yards, no matter what it is. I just feel like he bets that blindly, or anytime touchdown. He's just like, don't mind if I do. Bet.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
There you go.
I'm just going to say his over under was like 61 yards last week, and
he cashed it first half, easily. Right?
Yeah. Yep. It was very nice. All right. Yeah. Other than that, no bulletin board for me. Mason, I know we're going to talk about some Titan stuff here in a little bit.
Yeah.
With that, let's dive on into college football. We've got a big weekend as far as I feel like I say that every week, but there's just so much going on, and there's big matchups. We're in conference play.
Yep.
A lot on the line every week. I know I had heard a lot of rumors going into the season that college football's regular season wasn't going to matter. Feels like it matters to me.
A couple of elimination games, it feels like, around the country early. But a couple games that feels like loser. This is going to have a tough time making the playoffs.
Yeah, the rest of their season could be cooked.
Okay. Well, let's start here with a game where the top 2 teams currently in the SEC, which no one could have predicted this truly, number 1 and number 2 in the SEC rankings are playing each other. That would be LSU and Texas A&M. What has become a pretty huge matchup. Both teams have a loss early season, first game of the season. Obviously, A&M lost to Notre Dame. LSU lost to USC. Both at home, and now they have not lost since against what could be considered some lower level competition, but they've found themselves now with no SEC losses, and they're the only 2 teams that have survived thus far. And so they're playing each other. So after this game, one team will remain at the top and will be what seems to be in the driver's position for the SEC championship game potentially. Both with tough schedules to finish out the season still, but LSU still has Bama and a couple of other ones. A&M still has Texas at the end. So neither schedule is easy going down the stretch. But huge game, though. We have, I think they're both coming off bye as well. No, that's not true. LSU beat Arkansas. An Arkansas team at home that obviously is pretty tough.
Frisky.
So LSU, that was pretty impressive. They're very frisky. Yeah. An impressive win at Arkansas. A&M coming off a bye. So, Tens, how do you feel about this game?
I've not had a good read on this A&M team all year. I've been kind of – it's like I think one thing, they do the other. But LSU has done exactly what I thought they would do, and they're good on offense, not very good at defense. Granted, the quarterback, Nussmeier, has played a lot better than I thought he would. I'm going to go – I think LSU is going to win this game. I think they just have the more high-powered offense. And I don't see Texas A&M – like I don't think Texas A&M's home field advantage is anything to be like worried about, on top of the fact that LSU plays at LSU.
Yep.
And so I don't think noise bothers them too much. So, yeah, I like what I've seen out of LSU. I think it will be – I don't think it's going to be close. I don't believe in this Texas A&M team at all. I just don't.
I don't know.
I've seen
Wegman
what
has
I need
been
to
pretty
see.
good. I'm not convinced.
Pretty good. He's thrown for 718 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 picks.
It doesn't sound good when you say it like that.
Well, I don't know how else I could say it. Well, let me try this. Zach, he's only thrown 4 interceptions, but he's thrown for 718 yards.
That's pretty good.
And 3 touchdowns.
That's a lot of touchdowns. You want another bulletin board material. A&M has 8 home games on the schedule this season.
Yeah, that's...
Someone explain that to me? 8 home games?
I don't get it at all.
That's insanity. I do think this A&M team is pretty obviously a little bit better coached than they have been in years past. I think Elko is doing a pretty good job down there. LSU is a little bit of a hot and cold team to me. I like Nussmeier. Very interesting matchup, honestly. Do you know what the spread is? Is it? I know it's got to be small. I don't have it on the top of my head.
I was on ESPN.
I shouldn't put you on the spot there.
It is 5.5 for 2.5 Texas A&M.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and they have the home field advantage, points, so that's about it. That's close. Be a fun game.
I'm taking LSU minus 6.5.
Ooh,
might even be on the Discord, but that one's free for the pod listeners.
Okay. A little bit of a bigger spread, but a little bit more on the line here. We have Mizzou, Alabama. Missouri. Pulled out Missouri. They have underperformed to a pretty significant amount this season. They've looked good very few times, honestly. They are a very, very flawed team at this point. Offensively, they're not great. But from what we know about Alabama seems to be in a similar situation. Very big struggles offensively. Their run game is, maybe the worst run game they've had in 20 years at Alabama.
Yeah.
Jalen Milroe seemed to be struggling. I don't know what to think about this game, but I think the line is like 13.5 Alabama. Is that right?
16.5. May have moved.
Vegas hates Missouri too. Missouri.
Yeah.
For playoff sake, I think if Missouri loses this one by 16, they're out. Even with 2 losses, their schedule is so soft. Alabama needs this to stay alive. I've seen that Alabama is still like even money to make the playoffs basically right now, which is crazy. But with 2 losses and as you schedule, I think Vegas is anticipating that you're going to make it in still.
Yeah.
So they're basically just they're going to win out. I think Alabama wins this one pretty comfortably because I don't believe in Missouri at all. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it took Brady Cook to he went out injured last week, high ankle sprain, and missed like the whole second quarter, and then came back at the end of the third, brought him back to win against a really bad. Who are they playing? South Carolina. They were playing South Carolina,
right? That's what I was just looking up, actually.
Or was it Mississippi State? No, it was South Carolina. I'm almost positive it's South
Yeah,
Carolina.
hang on a second.
Zach's going to fact check me. But
Fact check.
he obviously got
It was Auburn.
the pain.
Auburn.
That's right. The worst of the
21-17 final.
Yeah. He came back, led him back to a win. That's great. He got the shot in his ankle to, make the pain go away. A high ankle sprain's worse 7 days later. The soreness sets in. He's not going to be able to be mobile at all.
Mm-hmm.
If there's one thing that I kind of like, Jaden Milroe, good college football quarterback. Ryan Williams, awesome receiver. Outside of that on their offense, I'm not worried much about Bama, but what I will give Bama is they still have a good defensive line, and I think they get after Brady Cook. I don't think this will be close at all. I think it's just going to be an absolute rout, especially at home.
Okay. Next up, we have a big G5 matchup. Tens, how do you feel about Boise State UNLV?
Yes, so I talked about it a little bit last week. I was up late watching this UNLV team against Oregon State. I like this UNLV team. What a fun story it is, considering their starting quarterback decides, oh, I'm not getting paid enough in NIL, so I'm going to redshirt and take myself off the team to enter the transfer portal. They haven't missed a beat. The backup quarterback has come in. They're scoring a lot of points. This UNLV team is fun to watch. And on the flip side, you've got Boise State, who has not played anyone outside of Oregon, but they did play Oregon tough. They lost only by 3. And obviously, Austin Genty is a Heisman candidate right now. I think he's the favorite, actually. But
I think so too, yeah. Last I checked, I think so. I'll take a look.
They're ranked. Boise State's ranked 17th. Kind of hold their future in their hands as far as getting the non-Power 5 school playoff bid. This has to be a statement game. If Austin John, if he wants to win the Heisman, this has to be a game where he keeps doing what he's been doing. And Boise has to show that, like, hey, we're a very good team. We deserve a playoff spot. This is a UNLV team who's probably going to be their strongest competition outside of the one game against Oregon. So this is going to be a fun Friday night game. I've been talking about these Friday night games have been good all year, or since they started doing them a couple weeks ago. So I'm looking forward to it. Boise State's a 3.5-point favorite. I don't know who to pick. I've watched both these teams. They're your traditional non-Power 5 schools as far as like they do some stuff well, they do some stuff really bad. So it's really going to come down. I really think it's just going to come down to, does Genty go off? And if so, can Williams, the quarterback for UNLV, Malik Williams, go like just sling that ball around and keep him in it? Because he's been a playmaker ever since the quarterback took himself off the team and redshirted.
Plus 220 to win the Heisman, still the leader. Cam Ward plus 250.
That's probably Cam Ward time.
Gross. Oh, would you take it right? Would you take it right here? Plus
no.
What happens if they lose this game? Does
who? Boise State?
Yeah. Does it matter for him? He's not the quarterback. Does he? If he just keeps patting stats,
matter.
He should be fine.
They'll be there at the end of the season. They need to be in the playoff.
They have to be in the playoff for him to get that Heisman.
I like Boise State here. I think Genty is fighting for a Heisman at this point, and everyone knows it. I think they're going to let him cook. I also, talking about good losses is always weird, but that loss to Oregon is the best loss of the season for any team, like by far. I don't even think the committee is going to see that as a loss, really, on their schedule.
Right.
But this is the last opportunity for a Boise State team to prove themselves, coming into where reasonably there's going to be one spot open for a lot of teams who are going to have one loss probably. You have to differentiate yourself against the Navies and Armies. If something happens and one of them goes undefeated, you have to have a resume that says, hey, we're better than those teams. And I think they know they need the win. They're going to be desperate for it. I think Genty's going to be trying to prove his Heisman stature. And I think if they do win this game, he'll become the favorite by a pretty wide margin. So it will be a big game, but I like Boise State.
Real big game kicking off 10:30 Eastern.
Okay, we have a couple of Big Ten games coming up. Did you say 10:30 Eastern?
For that Boise State game, I
That
think
is
so.
disgusting.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
9:30 Central
America.
Time.
That is the worst. It's not going to be over till like 1:30 a.m. I'm not staying up to watch that. Okay. Anyways, we have two Big Ten matchups that are big time, and neither of them involve Ohio State. We've talked about playoff races and things
Patrick
of
Mahomes.
that nature. No fake Patrick Mahomes either. Sorry, he's pretty much dead at this point. After what Indiana did to him, fake Patrick Mahomes is cooked.
Yeah,
for the season. We'll bring it back next season.
We'll see you next year, buddy.
So we've got Illinois, Oregon. A very big game for Oregon. Oregon's schedule, if you're looking at it, is pretty soft. They had Ohio State. They got the dub there. They had Boise State. Got a win. They kind of have creeped by and all of a sudden are looking at that number one team in the nation talk. This Illinois team is pretty frisky. This Illinois team has a loss, but they are right there kind of – this would be what they need to get firmly into the playoff conversation. If Illinois could pull off a big upset against Oregon, all of a sudden the Big Ten is in shambles. And Illinois is sitting there thinking about sneaking into a playoff situation. So huge game for both programs. I don't think Oregon's going to overlook this one because I think everyone knows Illinois can be pretty sneaky. Tins, what do you think about this one? Pretty interesting matchup.
This is it's a really
Gabriel,
hard matchup
Heisman
to me
as well.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel, Heisman's kind of starting to creep back into the picture. This would be a big statement game for him to keep his team at number one. I'm looking at it. Oregon's favored by 22.5 points. That's crazy to me against an Illinois team that, yes, they're ranked.
That's a crazy number.
They've played a tough schedule. They have played Michigan, who's a tough football team, Illinois or Penn State, Nebraska, who we know sucks, Kansas, who at the time we thought was good. But still, this Illinois team is a tough football team. They don't turn the ball over. Their quarterback has thrown one interception all year, and that was on a Hail Mary at the end of a half just to try and make something happen.
They've won 2 overtime games this season.
2 overtime games. One was against Purdue, who Oregon beat 35-0, but that's okay. Sometimes you just find yourself in a shootout in the Big Ten. It happens.
Find a way to win.
I like this Illinois team. Altmaier has played well all year. I have liked what I've seen out of them. Nothing tells me they should be a 22-point underdog, but at the same time, from what I've seen from Oregon, and I've said it multiple times since the Boise State game, they figured out what they want to do, and they've been doing it at a high level. So I don't know what
one of my biggest bets of the year so far was on Illinois to like 16.5 point spread against Penn State.
Against Penn State, yeah.
That was too many points. We won that one. It was tight, but we won it. I think it's a similar situation here. I think 21.5. I see 21.5 on ESPN bet right now, but
okay.
I actually like that spread a lot. I think I'm definitely taking Illinois on that one.
Yeah, I think they keep it in that 14-point range. I don't know if they can win. I mean, it's a home game for Oregon. They do have a good home field.
Shock. Yeah.
Yeah. They would really have to play a perfect football game, and Oregon would have to kind of go back to what they were doing the first of the year. Bad offensive line play. Dylan Gabriel would have to throw some boneheaded picks for that to happen, in my opinion. So I do see them winning the game, but yeah, anything over 20 points is a lot for an Illinois team who's played as tough as they have all year.
Agree. Okay. Let's hit this other Big Ten game here really fast. Penn State at Wisconsin. Penn State 6.5 point favorites. It's a Wisconsin team that's looked much better since the beginning of the season. A Penn State team that just honestly has not faced a ton of competition up to this point. They played Illinois at home. They're on the road here. This is a Wisconsin team that's 5-2, but has been playing better as of late. They played Bama early in the season, lost their quarterback in the beginning of the game. Tough situation there. That spread is pretty small, 6.5.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that one? Just really quick.
So, big game. Wisconsin's gonna they hyping up the crowd. It's going to be a big home field advantage for them. They have played well since Tyler Van Dyke went out because he's a bad quarterback. Shocker alert. Guy was on like his 4th college football team. That should have been all you needed to know. Sophomore quarterback Braden Locke has taken over. He's more of a athlete, so they're doing a lot of RPO stuff with the running back. Tyree Walker has been playing well. He's approaching 700 yards. He has 9 touchdowns. So I think this Wisconsin team could keep it close. This just feels like, I've said it before, but this feels like a Penn State game where they kind of trip over their own feet, where they have a tendency of doing that. Feels like a field goal game between two classic Big Ten schools. Whoever's got the ball last kicks the game-winning field goal.
There you go.
Kind of game.
Wow. So you like the spread, huh?
I like the spread. I like Wisconsin. Yeah, I like Wisconsin to cover. I think they get it done on the ground, play time possession kind of football game. They're solid on defense, and then Penn State just, I don't know. They're due the choke eventually. I'll believe it when I see it at the end of the year when Penn State doesn't choke away games that they're not supposed to.
Agree. Okay, last one. I'm calling this an elimination game. Officially. Ooh. Notre Dame, Navy. Loser goes home. Loser's done. I feel confident that if the committee puts in a Notre Dame team with a loss to Navy and NIU, the system's broken. Cancel the system.
We need a whole new committee.
Throw it out. I think Notre Dame will be out with a loss. I think Navy, if they take a bad loss here, they'll also be eliminated in their first decent competition. Yeah. Notre Dame, 13-point favorites on the road at Navy. It's going to be a fun environment there. Navy with their best team in a very long time on the field. I think Notre Dame probably covers that, though. They've been playing much better. It's kind of gross, but
you're right, though.
Notre Dame's fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
I don't think Navy is. I just
think Navy's just happy to be here.
We can say they are, but I just don't. I don't believe
I think they're just happy to be in the.
We read off their schedule in our Monday episode, and boy, is it just something. Okay.
All right. One last college thing I just want to throw out really fast. Indiana's starting quarterback. It looks like he's going to miss the game. So Kurt Rourke had thumb surgery. You actually saw it in the game where he hit it on someone else's hand and it like sliced and they like glued it for the rest of the game and he played, but he had surgery this week. They think he's going to miss. This could be a potential. Their backup quarterback is actually Indiana's star basketball player legend, Jackson Davis. His little brother is the backup quarterback, which is kind of wild. He hasn't played a lot, but it's just something to look out for. This Washington team is a little bit frisky.
They've been the most up and down team, maybe in the nation, maybe like the most unpredictable. Along with USC, maybe.
This just has Indiana ruining their season vibes all over it. You absolutely destroyed Nebraska last week. You look like an absolute juggernaut. And then you find yourself at 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning against a Washington team who has no business doing anything.
Nothing to lose.
And you have a backup quarterback in there, and then you look up and it's 14-3, and you go, "Oh no, we've really done it this time." I don't know, something to look out.
It would be fun.
I'm not rooting for it. I like this Indiana team, but the signs point to something might happen right there.
When you're on a bye week,
6.5 point spread.
When you're on a bye week, you're rooting for every other team in playoff contention to lose.
Sure,
it's good. It can only be for your benefit.
So, do you take Washington plus 6.5? I wish it was 7.
If it gets, if it was 7.5, I'd have already taken it.
If this was in Washington, I think it'd be like even money almost.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it's not, so it doesn't matter. But pretty interesting one. Yeah.
Yeah. So something to look out for. That's a tricky spot that I've been having success betting underdogs the last couple of weeks where I find a spot that I like. I'm starting to like that one more than I would want to, just because I'm kind of rooting for Indiana. I don't have any like futures or anything, but it's just, I don't know. Something tells me, yeah, that might be one. Look out. But just wanted to throw
Love
that
it.
one out there.
Okay.
All right. So we're not gonna talk about any matchups this weekend in the NFL. It's a little weird. Also, it's just been crazy with injuries, and I feel like we went through this last year, but it was with quarterbacks.
Yeah.
At this point last year, we had tons of injured quarterbacks, so at least this year we're not dealing with that. But instead, it's like every star player or important skill position guy is going down with injury. So it's just been unfortunate. Kind of taking some fun out of watching the NFL as far as like just fun, explosive players going down with injury. But if you play fantasy football or you listen to this podcast, you kind of already know about all of those guys because you probably have been affected one way or the other.
Yeah, Monday night was rough too, just overall injury wise.
Yeah.
Especially in a game that was like getting blown out and Chris Godwin goes down and you're like, man, when is this going to stop of just like these injuries? It's crazy. But we do have a lot of teams needing, because of the injuries, needing play that are in contention, and you already see teams kind of selling out. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm sure everybody listening has already kind of seen some of these news, but we just want to break down our thoughts. Is there one in mind that we should start with? Like one that's just going to really get the blood boiling, Zach, one you can think of? Maybe a 1-5 team that's already selling out? I'm listening.
Yeah, it's the Titans for sure. Titans, cowards. I'll be honest. I hate the tanking thing. And I hate it when it's so obvious. I know that things weren't going great for the season, and we're in a pretty negative direction. But there's a reality where you fight and you get like 5 or 6 wins, and it's like the fans know you're fighting, and there's another reality where you just are tanking and no one's having any fun. That's I hate the tanking model. I know it is. Yeah. It exists because it kind of has to, and you're looking towards the future, whatever you can call it.
Yeah,
it's really hard for me to be interested in watching a Titans game right now when I know that it's just they've already given up.
So getting blown out against the Bills, 1-5 team going to Detroit as 11-point underdog. This is the life of a Titans fan right now. And you wake up just on a Wednesday morning, an innocent Wednesday morning, and DeAndre Hopkins and one of our defensive players gets traded away for with the age,
4th round,
conditional
pick,
5th, it was a conditional 5th round, right? So the more playing time, so we can get a 4th if depending on his play time and stats and stuff. But I just don't understand, like, if we're going to overpay Calvin Ridley, you give me thoughts that we're all in on our offense here. I told you I was excited about him, but I thought the money was too much. I've said that back in the offseason. I still thought we overpaid for him. I'm not changing my thoughts now.
I've already for all those drops.
Listen, it's just like you give me vibes that we're tanking with, like, getting rid of Vrabel, and you got Will Levis here, but then it's like you reel me back in with signing Calvin Ridley, and it's like, oh, maybe they do want us to not be horrible. Like, if you're gonna tank, let's go ahead and just be full Panthers. Like, do what the Panthers are doing here. Like, I just don't understand. But we're one of the few teams. Let's see. I saw Patriots on here with 1 win. Who else has 1 win? My screen just froze, but we're down there in contention of the first round pick or first
Not the
overall
Jags.
pick. So not the Jags. No.
They're not taking.
Somehow, some way.
Patriots, Browns, not anymore because Jameis Winston, comeback player of the year. Me and Zach put it. I wanted to make sure I put that in my.
He's back, baby.
He's back.
I
Player.
would like to, but I'm excited about the game though. Would you have been excited about the Browns game otherwise?
No, I just want to watch it.
Well, I mean, I'm probably not going to watch it either, but I'm excited about it.
Zach, would you take 8.5? The 8.5 points against Baltimore? I will. I'll take 8.5.
Listen,
right now.
There's something about the hope that a new quarterback brings, no matter how bad.
Mason Rudolph didn't give that to me.
Rudolph, but he came and played well for like the first game. Like there's always that
the Dolphins
first quarterback bump or first game bump for a new quarterback where it's like kind of gets the people excited a little bit. It gets the juices flowing. Everyone's like, oh, we got some hope.
Listen,
even if it turns out to be a massive failure, there's always like Will Levis's first game, electric. His best game ever, by far.
And will probably be the last.
That's what I'm saying. Listen, there's a first game bump always.
Zach, yay or nay? If we brought in Trey Lance, would you be more excited?
No.
Oh.
For who, the Titans?
Would you bring it? Yeah. Oh, how about Jameis Winston?
I was thinking about Jameis Winston.
Well, I was working up to that.
Ryan Tannehill.
How about Bryce Young?
I would love Bryce Young on the team. I'll be honest with you. I believe in Bryce Young. Wow.
I just think he was in a bad system.
I would like to see Bryce Young in the Titans. I would root for him.
I would also. Maybe we just need to get all the young, washed-up quarterbacks together.
Not
washed up, but they were just not in the best system. Just get them all together.
Now, will the Titans have the best system? No.
They're probably one of the worst.
Definitely not.
You put a lot of faith in Brian Callahan or whatever, Bill Callahan being a good coach.
So would it be fun? Yes.
I say we fire him. Let's go ahead. Yes. Clean house. Start over.
Would I take Josh Dobbs?
Maybe not. This is after. Listen, I remember a guy named Titan Tins who was trying to talk about Callahan being, first year head coach, first time being an offensive play caller in his whole career. And some people, I had a lot of backlash of people calling me a hater, or not me, but Titan Tins, a hater, and he didn't know ball for trying to say that Callahan was a really bad head coaching hire. Mason just said to fire him. So for all the Titans heads out there, Titan Tins might, Titan Tins talked about how Calvin Ridley, bad signing. Letting Derrick Henry leave, bad idea. Will Levis, terrible quarterback. Your fans not doing the greatest job of showing up to games and selling their tickets to other fans.
Listen, it's
Titan
funny.
Tins might have been the guy.
Titans Tins existed, but you were not allowed to say that because you're not a Titans fan. You're just like me. You would be hating on. Well, you're allowed to say fire Doug Peterson. You're allowed to hate on Tate Bigsby, which is now the starting running back. But I can't do that.
I hated on Tate Bigsby last year when he was terrible and he fumbled all the time and he couldn't do anything correct. Now he's good at football again, like he was at Auburn. So I give him props. I'm glad he turned it around.
You're also, it's like one of those things.
Last year, he was bad.
You're allowed to say something bad about a family member, but when someone else says it, you're like, hey, shut your mouth. I'm only allowed to say that. And it's
you can say bad things about the Jags if they make sense, but it's when people try to make fun of Trevor, and that's when I get defensive because he is not the problem.
To you, he's not the problem.
Yeah.
To me, we're not doing the Trevor Lawrence thing right now. We're supposed to be talking about how you guys are selling DeAndre Hopkins and a linebacker you traded for this offseason to turn around and trade him again for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and not even strawberry jelly, but grape.
Oh, great.
I think we should do an off-season segment called Fix. I don't know.
Fix My Team?
I was trying to think of a fun name like Fixer Upper or Extreme Team Makeover. I don't know, something like that. Where you play you play the GM and you give the 10-step plan to how you would fix the program.
My whole childhood was just getting on Madden, finding the worst team possible for that year, and turning them into a Super Bowl. Basically, what everybody's doing at NCAA this year. Everybody loves the thought of taking a team that is hot garbage and turning them into a championship team. That's the dream right there. But listen, we had one last thing, unless Tinsley had anything else to touch on, because I want the Cooper Kupp situation. Because apparently they're open for business, which I was surprised that the Rams are also selling out. Maybe it's
I've
just
seen a rumor that him and Stafford are a package deal to the Vikings.
Wow.
They're giving up on Sam Darnold already?
I was like, he's proven himself to me, but I don't really know.
I don't know. You put I can't talk. Stafford behind that Vikings offensive line with Jay Jetta and Cooper Kupp, it's a problem for the whole league because
It's a Super Bowl team.
Stafford would kill people behind an offensive line like that.
And Hawkinson's still coming back 5-1. They play the Rams actually tomorrow. It's funny that both those teams are in your little. So maybe they're waiting to trade them after they play them. Wouldn't that be funny? They're like, let's wait until Friday or Saturday or Sunday to trade them because we don't want him going up against our team. But anyways, they're 2-4. We've talked about disappointment of the season. I saw a thing right now. The odds books, the bookmakers are saying that the Steelers are the head favorite. The Chiefs were until the DeAndre Hopkins trade.
Steelers are the favorite for Kupp.
Steelers are the favorite for Kupp. I think it's because now everybody's like, oh, the Steelers are back, baby. The fact that they had Russ in there for one game, still not a believer yet. I want to see a little more.
Nervous about your prop. You were tooting your horn a lot the first couple of weeks.
This is not good, everybody.
And threw for what, like 300 yards?
So now it's like, I didn't do the math. That's what Zach's here for. But we need to keep an eye on this when it gets closer and have Zach do he needs to average this much to bust my
I can do that.
That was my favorite bet. I like one under every single, and I feel like one of them was I took Deshaun Watson's under before his suspension, and then he got suspended, and that was one of my favorite unders I've ever taken. And this was up there for me. This was one of my most I felt good about, and now here we are. So
what was the total number? What was the bet?
I'll pull it up right now. Let me see. Someone filibuster while this is loading. Nope.
No filibustering for you.
Okay, we do have some breaking news on the G5 front. Liberty.
Okay.
Shocked. 25.5 point underdogs or favorites against Kennesaw State, who was previously had not won a single game. Liberty, who was undefeated and was on track to be in that conversation at the end of the year at least, would have got snubbed, but would have at least had an argument because it looked like they were going undefeated for sure.
Yeah,
the big loss. So shout out to
Liberty.
Guys.
Couldn't happen to a better
Get in a real conference.
Under 2,500 and a half.
2,501.5.
Yep.
Okay.
This Instagram post says 2750.
Oh,
Yeah, it was on DraftKings and it got pulled, and I got it on Caesars for 2,500 and a half.
So they have 10 games left, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure. What'd you get it at? 10s? Did you get 27?
27. Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh, tough break. So he passed for. We're doing the deep dive right now, live on air.
I love how we're doing this on the pod.
Live on air. What did he throw for?
That's what I'm looking up right now.
Bet you I find it first. Oh, wait. No.
He threw for 264.
Okay.
So, if we're doing some quick math, 2,500 minus 264.
This is not good. Then you start using Justin Field in packages or something.
Means he needs to average 223.6 yards per game.
That's not a lot of yards
to hit the over.
Yeah, it's not good.
Tinsley's got a little
I feel
more
better about Tinsley's ticket.
He's got 245.
I got some wiggle room.
Yeah,
I can.
Mine's a little more of a sweat.
I can watch from afar and giggle, just kind of giggle to myself, just a little bit.
You have to sweat that one out, Mason. That would be electric.
We'll keep
if
up with
came in the
it
last
throughout
game.
the season, everybody. All right. Is that a pod?
It's pod.
Yep. Shout out DeAndre Hopkins. Your Titan career was really great. Hope
I did see
hope
a
he has
post.
fun winning that Super Bowl with the Chiefs this year.
I did see a post where it was like, man, tough break for DeAndre. He went from playing with Will Levis and Mason Rudolph to now the quarterback that leads the league in interceptions.
Got him.
That was
It's
pretty
true.
funny play. Got him.
That is did get him.
All right. Well, that's an episode, everybody. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Make sure to follow us on the Discord. If you need help finding that, go to our socials or just reach out personally, and we'll help you get that set up. Make sure to tune into all our TikTok and on Instagram. Thank you guys for just being loyal fans and listening, and you guys have a great weekend.